Alright then, so in this video I'm going to show you how I made $40,000 with Apex using copy trading, and I'm just going to show you exactly the strategy that I used to do it with as well. So very simply, you know, with Apex you can have 20 accounts. I personally use the 50Ks. They cost, because of all the sales that we've had recently, I think I paid about $1,000 for these accounts. Let's just make this a bit bigger. Hello. So I think I've spent about $1,000, maybe $1,200 on these accounts. Obviously, you can get 50Ks for about or less than $100 for Apex. I think you can get them, what is it, $80 all in. So I think overall I probably spent a little bit more than this, although they did do the $40 sale for Black Friday as well. So I think I spent about $1,000 on these 20 accounts. And then very simply, I'm risking about $100, $150 per trade per account. So I'm basically copy trading across all of them. $150 risk, and I'm basically looking to make, you know, 2 or 3x on all of my trades. So 2 or 3R I generally make on my trades, and I've got about an 80% win rate. So it took me about 2 or 3 months to get payouts on these, considering the conditions recently, and also it can take a little bit of time to get used to trading so many accounts copy traded, because obviously the numbers look a little bit bigger. But you can actually trade, essentially, if you risk $150 per account times 20, that's $3,000 risk, but you can make $6,000 or $9,000 overall per trade if you are very consistent. Obviously with Apex you have to pass the challenges, but you can pass those with news, which is something that I've done. Basically I'll just full port half long and half short on news, and this is something that you can do and is allowed by Apex to pass the what is it called, the challenge phase. And then they give you the PA live accounts. You have to trade those up to 52,600 if you're using 50Ks, which is what I use, and you get $2,500 trailing drawdown, so you get quite a lot of buffer as well. And once you trade these up to this amount, you can basically trade them then like a normal prop firm, and they have some rules. I think it's 8 days of trading days, $50 maximum profit per day, 8 trading days, 50 max. You have to have at least 5 days of $50 profit, and you have to adhere to all the other rules as well. No news trading, etc. on the actual PAs, and then you can request the payouts. And very simply, if you get up to $2,000 after you've hit this $52,600 level, you can request a $2,000 payout per account, which is how I got up to $40,000 on my first payout. $2,000 per account times 20 is $40,000, and it's a really good way, because you can just copy trade them all through Tradeovate. I use Tradeovate because I think it's really good, and I'm just going to show you the strategy now that I use, because I really do think that this strategy is amazing, and it has been absolutely changing my life in general. So basically what I'm looking for is, I'm just looking for big sweeps of liquidity followed by inversions back to the upside, fair value gaps like this. So say for example this is your hourly time frame, we're kind of going up to the upside like this. You can see we're generating some pretty obvious levels. I'll just go through and basically just mark out all the key levels that I can see that are swing lows. Really obvious stuff. Just going through all these levels like this, and basically all I'm looking for is a sweep down through a level and then an inversion. And if you get multiple sweeps and then an inversion, I tend to find that they work even better, because obviously the lower in discount that you get, the more chance of a reversal to the upside, especially on NQ, which does love to reverse back around. So you can see here, say for example, in this example that I've provided here, that we come down, we sweep these 2 levels of liquidity, and then we get an inverse back to the upside. I'm targeting a fair value gap inverse back to the upside, looking something like this. Usually fair value gaps, if I can actually sort out my trading view, fair value gaps are very easy to spot in the market. They usually look something like this. Usually the best ones that you're looking for are 3 candle pattern inverses. So you can see we've created a gap in the market there. You've got 1, 2 and then 3, and then you get this inverse of this gap back to the upside. What I'd be looking for here is basically my risk system I use personally. As I said, I risk about $150 per account per trade, and I'll be looking for a major liquidity sweep and an inversion like this. 3 candle pattern inversions are the best and do work really well. And very simply, I'll align my risk with around about halfway between the recent low and the fair value gap here, as we can see. So I'd risk about $150 here. My stop loss is if we close back below the fair value gap. I don't have a manual stop loss, although sometimes I do have a manual stop loss at the very extreme low if we are experiencing very volatile conditions. And then very simply, I'll be looking to just target back up through levels of liquidity. So for example, if in this instance here, we've got some price action like this, for example, I'll be looking to target a 1-for-1 for my first TP. That's $75, where I'll take off half my position, and then I'll go break even on the rest. And then if anything happens after that, goes to break even or continues up, I will have secured some profit, and then I'll move on to the next trade. But as we can see here, let's say for example price action does this, and we come up, hit my first scale, we come up again, and then we end up V-shaping, which is quite often the case back up through all these levels. What you would see here is I target my 1-for-1, I take half my position off, $75, go break even on the rest, and then I'll very simply be targeting back up through this V-shape to the upside, targeting usually to 3. I like to try and target 3 RR for the next scale if it's possible, and then I'll usually just target back up to the top of the V shape. Depending on how far we get though, once I get up to about a 3 or a 4R, which is usually $300, $400 profit, I'll usually just look to secure the bag, because on Apex there are consistency rules where you have a 30% consistency rule, so you don't really want to be making, especially if you're already up to the 2,000, to the where you need to be making $2,000. Really, you only need to be making $200 or $300 a day for about a week or two to be getting those $2,000 payouts per account every 2 weeks or every month or so. So obviously there are rules to abide by, but generally speaking, I am looking to just target back up through liquidity, and this is essentially the strategy. It's very, very simple. You can also take these 3 candle pattern V shapes, something like this, if you are in an area of the chart and the V shape looks really, really good like this, where you don't have a major sweep and you only have a minor sweep. These can also work, and I will take these trades as well, depending on the context, but basically 90% of my trades will be from major sweeps and this inversion strategy back to the upside. So we're going to just take a look at some examples now. There were a few really good trades yesterday that were absolutely perfect examples. So I'm on M&Q here. As we can see, we are pumping today so far. Sadly, no entries. But if we look here, we did get a few good trades yesterday. I'm on the 3-minute time frame, and I'm just going to show you the trades that I took basically. So what I like to do is before every session, I'll just go along and I'll just mark out all the major liquidity levels that we are looking at potentially hitting during the next session if we come down. This takes like 2 minutes to do. Really, really easy to do. This is not rocket science, guys. Go and mark out all these major swing lows. As you can see, we came down and swept out all of these lows yesterday, which gave high probability of good trades. As you can see, I'd probably mark out that many, but when you keep going down and down and down, you have to go across them. This would probably be a reasonable amount to expect, but as we could see, in the AM session, we got a 3-minute trade here. This was a really, really good trade. I thought, you can see, we come down, we sweep this liquidity here, we get a decent reaction, and then we come down and we re-sweep the low again and get a bullish reaction, which I thought was good. You can see here quite clearly, this is a 3 candle pattern V shape. When I see a major liquidity sweep like this and then a re-sweep followed by a 3 candle pattern V shape to the upside, let's take a look at the candles. We've got our first candle, and then we've got 1, 2, and then this third one coming up here. And as you can see, for some reason my my paintbrush is being weird, but you can see this is a 3 candle V shape. I was always going to take this, and as you can see, stop loss halfway between the low and the gap. On this one, I would have been able to risk about 2 micros, targeting a 1-for-1, take half my position off here, $75, and then go break even on the rest, try and target higher liquidity. As you can see, we did come up to around, I think we got up to around a 2.5 or so R here, which is when I took the rest of my position off, because we were kind of chopping sideways and not really V-shaping back up here. So once we got up to around a 2 or a 3 R here, I closed the rest. That was around $200 or $300 profit on the day, which was really, really good. Good enough for me. Actually, wait, make sure I don't actually delete all those lines. As you can see, this would have been a good trade. And I took this I think I did take this on all my apexes. And then we got another trade which was an absolute beast. I've got some extra accounts that I do trade if I end up winning on the day, but I see more good setups to take. So as you can see, we go into New York Open here, and we are bearish. We come down, we sweep out literally like 4 or 5 major lows here, and then we get ourselves another 3-minute V-shape back to the upside. You can see this one wasn't as good because it took 5 candles to close rather than you got your 1, 2, 3 and then 4. We got 5 candles here, but this is still pretty good. You can see this has still probably got a decent chance of winning. As we can see here, I would have only been able to take this for about 1 micro because of the size of it. And as you can see, I think I just took this one off at a 1-for-1 for $150 because I was only in 1 micro, and I wasn't convinced after we started stalling in this area here for such a long time in this big fair value gap here that we were going to continue. You can see we're kind of in a bearish trend day, so when you're trading counter trend, it can sometimes be a good thing to just take profit early and secure the bag. And then as we can see here, we come down, we continue down, and we sweep out even more major lows. I think this is the one that was the one that mattered. Yeah, this was the major one. And then as we can see here, we've come down, we've swept this low, and we're kind of starting to chop around. As you can see here, there was actually a 3-minute that looked really good in here that would have lost. I didn't take this on my apexes because I'd already secured about $400 profit for the day, but you can see this was an excellent looking trade. We come down again, sweep the major low, and then re-sweep, and then get a really bullish reaction here. 9 times out of 10 I would expect this to work at least to a 1-to-1. You can see I would have sized for about this area here, targeting a 1-for-1, but as you can see, it instantly reversed back around and closed back below. So this would have been a loss about $100, or just, I would say about $100 here, if this would have come back down. If I'd have taken this, I took this on some other accounts that I have. I've got like some Traderfy accounts and some other accounts that I also trade, but I don't take them as seriously as the apexes, because obviously the apexes are a big collective profit maker for me, so I take them very seriously. But these other accounts, I figured this was a A+ setup in terms of what I'm looking for personally. Massive amounts of liquidity being swept. We're kind of starting to accumulate here. We re-sweep the low. This is a beautiful 3-pattern candle V-shape with tons of momentum. If you look at this candle here, it's basically got no top wick either, which tends to suggest to me that it's looking very, very likely to pump and continue. Doesn't look like it wants to reject at all, but as you can see, this one did fail, unfortunately. And we kind of come into this period of consolidation here. As you can see, we're going sideways. This is accumulation before manipulation distribution, which is something I talk about in videos as well. Another potential place that you can find setups. If you look at this, you've got your accumulation, and then we come down, we manipulate the low, another bullish reaction here, and another 3-minute inversion that you could have taken. If you look at this, this was a really, really good trade as well. I took this on my Traderfy accounts, and this one worked for a 1-for-1. As we can see here, we come up, and then let me just take a look. What was my sizing on this? Yeah, I could only take this again with 1 micro. So what I did was, once we got to 1-to-1, I just kind of started trailing my stop loss. We eventually did hit the 1-to-1 up here, and we kind of chopped around for a while, and I basically ended up making like $50 or $100 on this trade, because we got this ridiculous scam wick from Trump who was talking about tariffs or something last night, and we came down and basically got blasted out of the trade again. There were actually more trades that could have been taken here. Continuation plays, once we've confirmed we're bullish here, you can see we start making bullish market structure. And the final trade that I did take, which is, as I was just about to say, you can potentially take these continuation plays when you're confident that, if say for example you get knocked out of this trade at break even like I did, if you can see that we're clearly in bullish market structure again, then it's pretty obvious to me that I could have taken another trade, especially since I'm not trading my apexes, I'm trading my Traderfy accounts, which are a little bit looser on my personal rules. You can see you could have taken this inverse here. Obviously there's no major sweep here, but we have got, obviously we've come back, we've back tested this area and clearly bullish again. I think the risk to reward on this one also really, really good, as you can see. And this one would have worked. We come up for a 1-for-1, which coincides with this high pretty much identically. Interesting stuff. Close half at $175 profit. Hold the rest up for 2 to 1 or so. Probably start trailing my stop loss on this one, since I could have only took this with about 2 micros. So this would have been another winner. As you can see, there were lots of winners yesterday on the charts for this particular strategy, and there have been winners for the past few weeks that have been absolutely great, to be honest. Loads and loads of really, really good trades. I still think this one back on that Friday was absolutely a banger, but overall you can see it's very, very simple stuff. You're just looking for liquidity sweep. Major liquidity sweeps are good. V-shapes back to the upside. Good risk to reward. You tend to want to be able to have smaller gaps if possible. If the gap's like 50 points, you're only going to be able to take it if you're risking $150, $200 with like 1 micro. So you're not going to be able to scale out of positions, and it's going to limit your flexibility with your trading. But overall, this is how I made $40,000 with Apex. I bought 20 accounts, copy traded them all, used this strategy, risked about $150, made $300 or $400 a day for the past few months, got to the threshold of 52,600, and then traded them a little bit more conservatively up to that $2,000 threshold. Followed all their other rules. The maximum daily loss limit's like $750, but if you're risking $150 per trade, it's basically impossible to hit that. In my opinion, it's not about trading bigger, it's about trading with more leverage. So if you have more accounts, you can make more profit without having to risk $500 a trade and blow your accounts after like a few trades if they go against you. If you're risking small amounts per account, the trailing drawdown on Apex is $2,500, and if you're risking $150 or $200 per trade, you get 10, 11, 12, 13 chances in a row to get winning trades before you blow the accounts. So it's basically impossible, and they're super cheap. You can get Apex accounts for like, if you wait for the good sales where they do $15 accounts and $40 fees, you can get $50 accounts basically. You can get 20 accounts for about $1,000, $1,200 like I did. Really, really good way of trading, and it's really good mentally as well to know that you're not risking massive amounts of your accounts per trade. So you've got basically a lot more wiggle room in general, and it really adheres to all of the rules of Apex really well. The maximum daily loss limit is $750, which you're never going to hit. You have to try and hit $50 for 5 days for payouts, which you can easily hit with 1 trade. There are loads of other rules as well. No news trading, but that's okay. You can trade after news. I don't usually news trade unless I'm passing accounts. You can pass your accounts by just gambling half of them long and half of them short on news, and they pretty much always pass. That's the way I passed all of mine on CPI or on NFP. These are good times to be gambling your accounts like that, to your challenges to get them passed. Really just a great way of trading, something that I've been researching, and really happy, to be honest, with how it's been going. And I'm going to leave it there. So if you do have any questions, please leave them down below. Like and subscribe and leave a comment. And as always, if you do want to get alerts for all the trades that I take personally, you can get them in the private Discord. Link is in the description. And I'll catch you in the next video. Cheers.